Hello, my name is Miguel Ángel Doncel. I am the CEO at SEO, and today I'm going to drive you through our latest integration with MASV, which is a massive integration we have done. We are extremely excited about that because Mistika Workflows and MASV together, they add a lot of value for the people, speeding up their workflows to generate and deliver content in this industry. So in order to do it, I'm going to split my presentation in two pieces. First of all, I'm going to do a brief introduction of workflows, so you understand the technology behind the integration, and then I will go to the interesting part of the presentation, and I will show you how MASV integrates with Mistika Workflows. Mistika Workflows is a very simple to use application that allows you pretty much to get files from wherever, do something with them, and deliver the files, the outgoing files and results and notifications wherever you want. That's a very simple concept. It works with node editor, so we have quite a lot of properties divided in groups like outputs, the outputs that we want to use, that we have the possibility to send to Amazon buckets, so this is where MASV fits in, allowing you to deliver directly to MASV your contents. We have tasks, which are the things you want to do with your content, and you can generate metadata, you can conform with EDLs, you can transcode to almost any possible format in the market. And we have inputs. We pretty much support all the formats in the market, from the raw camera files, from Red, from Arri, from Canon, from Sony, so all the typical raw files, and all the standard applications, formats H264, H265, ProRes, etc., etc., etc. So the way it works is very simple. You have an input. In this case, let me, for example, get a file. Let's suppose I want to generate a ProRes version of the file. So I get my file and I send it to ProRes. I want to generate not a ProRes, but an EXR version of the file. So I can get the EXR generation and generate an EXR version. And when you are transcoding, you can not only transcode, but you can also do things like changing the color space. So whenever I select a node, here in the right, I have my properties and all the properties that you can select for that specific node. So for example, in the transcoder, you will see that we have the unicolor, color space management. In general, by default, it's obviously the same as input, but you can select, for example, if I want to generate 7 or 9 output, or a D65 output, or linear, or whatever. For example, in this case, the ProRes could logically be 7 or 9 because it's probably to be uploaded to Frame.io or something like that, and the EXR may be linear because it's going to go to the compositing team, so we will need to change the color space to linear. And then once I have that, I can send the output to Frame.io, so I could get the ProRes file and upload it to Frame.io, or I could just send a Slack notification message, or I want to send an email to the customer, so I can get, for example, a Gmail account and send an email to the customer saying, okay, we have uploaded the file to Frame.io. We also have error management, so you can do the specific things when a file fails. So pretty much the idea is very simple. You get your boxes, put your boxes in the scene, and connect your tasks and leave it automatically. And in order to do it automatically, probably instead of using a file, you will want to use something like a watcher. There are a number of different ways to trigger a workflow, but one of the simplest one is actually using a watcher. So a watcher is an active directory in your system. Every time a file lands into that directory, the process is executed, and that file is sent through the workflow. So instead of using a file, I could start my workflow with a watcher, or I could start my workflow asking a database or a MAM system if there are some conditions to trigger a workflow with what file, etc., etc. So this is the idea of Mistika Workflows. So now let me jump into a real-life example of an integration with MASV. So in order to show you that, I'm going to read a workflow, which is this workflow, and it's a very simple example of what kind of things we could do in normal DIT workflows. We can obviously add many more nodes to do many more things. I'm just going to go to the concept so you understand the idea. Then you can add all the specific needs you may have for your workflow. In this case, we have a local watcher, as we did before. This is a directory in my computer that I am going to be listening from it. So every time something lands into that directory, the workflow will be triggered. On parallel, we have a remote repository of MASV, and the files in that directory, I want those files to be downloaded and processed as well as part of my workflow. We are doing this example with two different inputs just to illustrate that the input you can use is anywhere that you want. So whenever a file lands and this workflow is executed, the available files in MASV will be downloaded as well. The serializer, what it does is pretty much say, okay, these sources are actually the same kind of content, so get them, all of them, and go to the next node. So we are serializing the inputs, and then we are going to the next node, and the next node is the edit metadata node. So we read all the metadata that is coming in the example I'm going to show you. We are using array contents, and we read all the metadata coming in the array file. We read all the metadata coming in red files, canon files, as I said before, all the possible metadata in the market. But sometimes the metadata in the file may not be what you want to be, or may not be present because they didn't put it on during the shooting. So I have the possibility to overwrite metadata to be used during the process. So for example, here we have the production information. I can put, well, my name in the field of the director, or we can say, okay, the production is IBC, the producer is SEO, and pretty much the fields that are coming in the metadata on the file will be replaced with these fields. If I leave the fields empty, it will use the information coming from the file. So we have information from the lens that was using for the shooting, the information about the model of the camera, all the settings information, etc. So here I can define the metadata I want to use. Next thing we are going to do is something very simple. For the dailies, we are going to generate a progress file, a progress version of the array movies. And what we are going to do with this progress file is during the transcoding, we can change the color space, so we are going to go to Rec 709. We can also change the resolution. In this case, we are going to downscale the content to 1080, because no point delivering 6K or 4K content probably for a preview for the dailies. So we are rescaling the content, we are changing the color space, and once we have the dailies content, we are going to send it back to MASV. So the system will upload it to MASV, and MASV will do the magic, and MASV will send the email notification to the customer. If you want, it will connect to Frame.io from there. So they have quite a lot of amazing functionality that you can use. And finally, the thing that we are going to do the last is, at the end of this workflow, we are going to generate a CSV report with the metadata of the clip we have processed. So we have a CSV file with the metadata of the files we have processed. So whenever I have this, the only thing I have to do is to activate the workflow. Once I activate the workflow, the system will start listening to the watcher that I did create. Let me show you a little bit of the configuration in the folders to show you how this works. I have here some example clips that I'm going to use to put them on the watcher. I have here my watcher, is the hot folder where I'm going to start processing, and I have here, just to illustrate the process so you see what is going on, different folders with different contents. I am going to copy these files here. So what I am doing is I am just copying to the watch folder the contents. The system will wait a few seconds, because the system, what it does is, whenever it receives that a file is landing, it could be a sequence or it could be a movie. So there is a number of seconds that the software waits until the movie is stable or the sequence is stable, because we don't want to trigger the workflow before the input transfer is finished. So the software waits a number of seconds. You can see it's running now. Anyway, I will continue explaining. And what it is going to do is, the first thing it will do in the workflow, it will start downloading from MASV. And you can see up here how the files from MASV are appearing in my system. Once all the files are in my computer, the next piece of the workflow will start, and we will see in this folder how the daily clips, the progress files, start to appear. So we are downloading the movie, so it will take a few seconds to get to that point. And as soon as the MASV transfer finishes, the node will start doing the progress version. As I did mention before, in the progress version, we are not only generating the ProRes, but we are also downscaling the format to HD. We are also changing the color space, but there are many other things we could do. We could, for example, overwrite a burn-on with the typical information about the clip name, frame number, time code, etc., etc., etc. We could even overwrite watermark with a logo. So you have quite a lot of functionalities that you can add during the transcoding. So as you can see, the ProRes versions are here. In general, we maintain the directory organization. So as you can see, we had a directory name with a sequence inside for the input. So at the output, we have the same directory name and the movie, the ProRes movie that has been generated. And when the workflow is finished, I have here my CSV with all the metadata. So if I open it, I can see here the files that have been processed, the information I had about the gamma and the color space is 2.4709, the IBC presentation column that we had. So you have all the information that we put in the output here on a CSV file. And this is pretty much it. I could go with my friends, get a beer on the beach here in IBC, and leave the system working. And every time something triggers the workflow, the magic will happen. And if there is an error, I will receive a notification. Probably at this time, the whole process is finished. So if I check my email, I should have, and here it is, I have an email from Massive saying that I have the media. So the software works automatically, and the magic happens without human intervention. And in case of any error, as I said before, you may receive a notification, trigger a different workflow, or whatever you want. So I hope you like it. We are extremely excited with this integration. I think it adds a lot of value to our customers and to the Massive customers, and we hope you like it. For any other question, feel free to visit our web or contact us. Thank you very much.